Welcome back to the show, everybody. IGN Live from Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LG G4. I'm Damon. This is Jim. It's time to talk about Hitman Agent 47. We have with us the stars of the film, Rupert Friend and Hannah Ware. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Hannah, welcome back. Actually, you were on our live stream last year with Zachary, who couldn't be here today. He's filming something called Star Trek. I guess he's busy with that.
Who cares?
I want to kick off though with you've assumed the mantle of this iconic video game character, Agent 47. Were you kind of daunted at all by the sort of, he is, like I said, an iconic character in this medium?
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of the guy and the world, and that it was a hugely popular video game franchise, but when I was really blown away was actually when they sent me the games and I got to play them, and I realized it wasn't a shoot 'em up, which is kind of what I thought it was. That it was actually this incredibly complex stealth thriller, and then that got my juices going.
Did you play all of the games, or were there certain ones that you took?
I started with Absolution and went backwards. So, I started with this incredibly drawn world, and as a lover of film, the cinematography is beautiful. They'd clearly used motion capture or whatever on an actor, because the movement of the guy was amazing, and I just thought it was like being in a film. So to me, it was a kick.
So do you feel like you set out to capture that sense of, Hitman, the video games are a lot about stealth.
Yeah.
And I've seen the trailers. I think the movie looks like a lot of fun, but there's these really big action set pieces. So how do you balance that with the stealth that the character's known for?
It's a good question, and obviously one can't please all parties, but I think that my biggest thing with the filmmakers was, let's include those touchstones from the game. Let's have the hiding of bodies so that they don't raise the alarm. Let's bring in more disguises if we can, and let's make the traps as kind of calm and cunning and efficient as possible. And then, I guess because it's a movie, there are going to be times when he just kicks ass,
Now, Hannah, you had to be very tight-lipped last year talking about your character, and I'm not expecting you to be able to say too much more about your character, but what can you tell us about Katya that you couldn't say last year?
Well, I can tell you that she might have some skills of her own, which...
We've seen a little bit in the trailer.
Yeah, I think you've seen that in the trailer, that are quite unique and rare, and not that your average person has. Right. What that means is still something I have to remain tight-lipped about.
But she also has... what can you say about her, excuse me, too much partying last night. What can you say about sort of the emotional arc that she has in this movie? I mean...
I think all the characters have a really amazing emotional arc. But you first meet Katya as a sort of lost girl looking for this person that she can't find in some way to help inform her about how she interacts with the world, because there's something kind of off about Katya when you first meet her. She doesn't feel very comfortable in seemingly normal surroundings that most people would. And throughout the film, she learns a lot through 47, who she becomes embroiled in his latest mission, that there are strengths about herself which will teach her more about herself and give her a sort of new confidence and breath of life that will really propel her forward.
That was a lovely way to dance around your NDA,
yeah, I thought so.
That was really studio. Take
Obviously
notes of that.
A pro.
That's how you do it.
So, Rupert, we've seen you kick ass on Homeland before. And was this your first chance to do a real physical role?
Yeah, my first. I'm a huge Homeland fan, though, so I felt automatically very, very worried about disassembling guns in front of Rupert, because he's so good at them.
We should all feel very worried about disassembling guns in front of Rupert.
It was slightly intimidating.
Yeah. Now, from what I've seen in the movie, 47 is actually, he seems almost sort of villainous at first. Like the movie really captures that sort of intimidation factor of this guy. Like, he is a hitman. He is, you better hope you're not the one on his list.
Yeah.
Did you have fun sort of playing the almost bad guy element of him too. I know he's an anti-hero, but you know, he is.
Yeah, and it's a good anti-hero is a great word. You know, this is not someone who's saving the day. He's not swooping in and holding up the dying child car thing. It's not Superman. He is a man who kills people for money, and that is obviously not morally particularly on point. But what's fun about it is exactly that. It's bringing this thing for me into the real world. So instead of it being like a cartoon version, for me it's like, this is actually a guy who could kill you. And that's when I'm like, oh, now I'm scared. And now I'm interested, and now I really believe it when he, you know, puts somebody on the floor in one move. You're like, it's not kind of 60s Batman, bam, powerful. It's supposed to be like, oh, wow, that hurts.
60s Batman sat right where you did last year at our live stream, by the way.
Adam Lancaster?
Adam West.
Yeah.
Adam West and Burt Lancaster. Burt Ward.
Burt Ward was not with us then.
He's not with us full stop, I don't know.
No, he's alive.
He is?
Yeah. Robin is not dead. But I wanted to ask you, though, also about the big set pieces in the movie. You did mention that you have a lot of hand-to-hand combat stuff as well. But, you know, there are the huge sort of shoot 'em up set pieces as well, including one, I believe, on Escalator, right? Can you talk about sort of how long did it take to film some of those sequences?
Yeah, well, I can tell you, we shot in Singapore, part of the movie. It's kind of a global movie, and we shot part of it in Singapore, where nobody has ever fired a gun except for a policeman, ever, except for me in this role. And they were so freaked out about it that every single bullet that I fired had to be found after every take. So if you shoot 20 dead stunt guys, you have to go and pick out of the gutter and out of the trees the bullet casings, and if there aren't 20, we don't carry on.
I remember that in an alley. We kind of all the filming was held up because someone was crawling around looking amongst a pavement.
The bullet wrangler. You actually had a bullet wrangler.
We had a bullet wrangler, so the momentum slightly gets lost in the sort of middle of the sequence when everyone's on their hands and knees, you know.
Well, we are actually out of time, but before we go, I have to ask you, anything you tell us about season 5 of Homeland? Any sort of...
You had a very, conflicted storyline going on.
I mean, what I would say is that Quinn has been in what could only be described as hell on earth for 2.5 years without really any contact with anyone other than to potentially get rid of them. And it's a bit like, what does that sort of do to you as a person? And I would say that's where we start, with Quinn at least.
All right, well, I look forward to seeing it, and we look forward to watching Hitman Agent 47. It's in theaters August 21st. Rupert, Hannah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back with more from Comic-Con Live right after this.
This is when they show.
IGN Live at Comic-Con is presented by the all-new LG G4. See the great, feel the great. And Marvel's Ant-Man, in theaters July 17th.